This is episode number 112. Welcome. I am Tommy Kendi, and here with you today is myself, me, and I. And I haven't spoken to you, just me and you guys, for ages. So I've had a couple of guests on last 2-3 weeks, and which is fun. But sometimes I miss just me yapping on and just me talking to you guys. And yeah, I mean, I like doing that because life is to be lived, and we all have so much wisdom to be shared. And that's the thing, isn't it? It's like we all live life, we all fuck up, we all have wins. And one of the things that most of the people I know that love to do is share their wisdom. And that's sort of part of what we're talking about today. Is first off is how to access this wisdom. And if you've been to yoga classes, or if you've been to if you're in this sort of spiritual realm, or even if you look at Instagram or any social media or stuff like that, you would have heard the saying, just tune in, man, and get what you get. Now, there's a real art to this whole thing of being able to tune in. And tuning in, well, to me, I'm just going to share what that means to me personally. We all have, and I know this because I've worked with thousands of people now in all different capacities. In a coaching capacity, I've worked with people in yoga, in meditation, in breath work, in all different aspects of mindfulness. And not just work, but I've also spent like years and years and years studying this shit, to the point where, obviously every single thing that I ever talk about, I try out myself, because otherwise, I mean, I'm just a fraud, aren't I? So one of the things that I think there's a big misconception around what tuning in actually means. What does it actually mean to tune in? And what we're talking about when we talk about tuning in is we are talking about accessing our inner guidance, accessing our inner wisdom. And one of the things you will know as a human being is that truth, when you hear truth, or when you feel truth, it has a real ring to it. So when someone talks to you and they look you in the eyes, and either they say something about you, or they say something about themselves, you feel the truth behind it. You're like, yeah, this, whatever this person said, it feels true. And when someone, there's this real interesting thing with truth, because truth, when someone delivers truth, it means that there has to be a level of pain and vulnerability behind it, because they would have experienced it themselves. But also there's this level of knowing behind it as well. And that's what we want to access, because a lot of us that are living life and we're going for certain things, and we're going for dreams, or we want to make certain changes in our lives, there's always this thing. It's like, man, I just need the answer. I need to know where to go next. And I think that one of the biggest problems that we are facing in our in our humanity, one of the biggest problems that we are facing as human beings, is that we've forgotten to trust what we get about ourselves, what we get about others, and what we get about the world. We've forgotten to trust this inner, most knowing part of who we are. And one of the true gifts that we have as human beings is that we all have intuition. We have this inner guidance system, which is accessible to all of us. But the problem with humanity these days is that we stopped trusting this inner guidance system that we all have within us. So when people talk about tuning in, that's what we're doing. We're learning. It's a real art to come back to yourself and tune in, and actually spend time tuning in to see what you get about yourself and your situation. And when you learn how to properly tune in, fuck, man, what a gift that is. Like, it really is. And to the point where you should be doing it on a daily basis, because constantly, every day changes, every day shifts. We should be doing this on a daily basis. And if you look into my diary, on a Sunday night at 7 p.m., it just says spirit guide. And on a Wednesday morning, it says spirit guide. And what that means, I mean, it's an airy fairy thing, but for me, that works because I tune in to my spirit guide. But my spirit guide is basically me being able to tune in, right? And so every Sunday night, 7 p.m., every Wednesday morning before I go teach yoga, I'm tuning into my spirit guide. I close my eyes, and it's a 5 or 10 minute process. After you've been doing it for a while, sometimes you can do it even instantly. If you're sitting in the car, you can just quickly tune in and go, hey, what's going on here? Blah, blah, and it just comes to you. But one of the coolest things about learning how to tune in and understanding this inner guidance system is that one of the things you start to realize is that the things that come back at you are usually the most obvious things that make sense to that particular challenge, that particular problem, that particular idea that you're trying to create. And so what unfolds is that when things seem too obvious to human beings, then, well, I mean, to human beings, when things seem too obvious to us, it's like you sort of sit back and you think, well, yeah, well, no shit, that's what I'm supposed to do. Well, yeah, no shit. So why the fuck aren't you doing it? And so that's what happens, is that when we get these inner guidance things just giving you the most obvious things every time, then really the only thing left to do is to have the nads, to have the courage to actually take action on the things that are the most obvious. Because if you're constantly looking for all the things that are there's too much involved, or it's like, oh, okay, well, I've got to do this first and then that first, and then, all right, well, this person has to be there and that, and then there's just all this shit going on. It just all becomes too hard. We have to learn to go back to the most simple things, which is the most obvious things. And even then, if you're, just by listening to this podcast, you're probably, you could probably ask yourself a question now, and you'll see that you don't even have to think about it. It's just the most obvious thing just pops in for you. And it's like, yeah, no shit, dickhead. Like, that's what you got to do. And so it's really that simple. But then that you actually have to take time out, which is I think where most people get unstuck, is that they try and tune in with the whole busyness of life. It's like, oh, okay, cool. So, oh my God, what do I do? Or they try and tune in when emotions are super high and you're in a level of anxiety and shit hits the fan, or, there's all this stuff going on, and you're like, oh my God, all right, I've got to tune in quickly. I've got to tune in. I've got no time for this shit. I've got to tune in. Hey, what do I get? What do I get? Okay, cool. Da, 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 da. And then you end up actually tuning in to your fucking dumbass ego, and your ego gives you all this bullshit that has no relevance to what's actually true for you. Because what we really want to tune into is our absolute truth. And our truth is only our truth. No one else can tell you what your truth is. But when you tune in, and if you go to a good, if you have like a psychologist or a good coach that you work with, a good coach will never, ever say to you, this is what you should be doing. Obviously, like for me, when I see my clients, I always tune into them. And because I know how to tune into people and tune into myself, and it's always the same thing. It's the most obvious. So I give them ideas of, this is what I see for you or whatever. But most of the time, 99% of the time with my coaching clients, it is them that learn how to tune in, and they get the things for themselves, and that's when they have the aha moment. And then they're looking at me going, oh my God, Tommy, that was fucking amazing. Well, yeah, I just was just basically the conduit to help you get there. But then this is the fucked up thing, right? Is that when people actually do learn how to tune in and they have the tools and they understand what to do, they do it once or twice, and then they're like, this seems too easy. It's whatever. I'm just not gonna do it anymore. So that's why for me, it's in my fucking diary. So I do little mini tune-ins probably every day, but I know that on Wednesday morning and Sunday night, 7 p.m. Sunday night, Wednesday morning before I go teach yoga, I'm spending at least 5 minutes with a paper and a fucking pen in my hand, and I'm tuned in. I go out into this whole other ether, this whole other world, and I basically ask all the questions. I look for the end. I don't ever look for the answers. I just go, okay, what do I do with this? What do I do with that? And it just comes back to me straight away. And when you're tuning in, that's why you have to actually take time and make it a ritual. It's someone said it the other day. I was listening to a podcast. I can't remember who it was, but maybe it was Lewis Howe, the greatness thing. Well, the School of Greatness. That's his podcast. It's pretty cool. It's like I like his podcast. Sometimes I have listening. My girlfriend Nick listens all the time, and sometimes I listen in. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty cool. But yeah, so where was I going with this? Oh, yeah. So it's like you got to create a ritual. And someone on his podcast was talking about spirituality, but in spirituality, there's this spirit ritual. Ooh, good play on words, hey, spirit ritual. And that's what we're doing. It's a ritual to tune into our true spirit. Because as we all know, there's three aspects to us. There is the body, which is the physical body. There's the mind, and there's the spirit, which is our soul. And what we constantly want to do is we want to be led by our spirit, because apparently, which I believe, the spirit is it's connected to all levels of time and space. That's the spirit realm. It's connected. There's no future, there's no past, there's only the present, and everything is connected in. The future is connected into now, the past is connected into now, and the now is connected into now. So then with this whole tuning in thing, you're asking, okay, what do I do? How do I do it? I mean, look, there is, to be able to do it properly, there is actual structure and a way to get there, because you have to understand, you have to know what your spirit actually wants to experience. And until you have that, I mean, you can actually just ask yourself that, to be honest. You could just go, what do I actually in a limitless world, what do I actually want to experience? And if you have got the ability and whatever, just to sit down with a paper and pen and just ask your soul, I mean, what is it that I actually want to experience? You can actually go for that and do some writing and blah, and out of that take some ideas out of that, and then you'll get, maybe 5, 6, 10 things that your spirit actually wants to experience, and then so when you're tuning in, you want to tune into the truth of your being. Like, what is it that your soul is here to fucking do? What is it that your soul wants to experience? And then tune in, and you tuning in is closing your eyes and taking yourself out. Like, take yourself out. And it doesn't take hours of meditation. You can literally do it just by closing your eyes down and sitting in your chair, making sure you have absolutely no interruptions for 5 minutes. Take 10 breaths, and you are fucking there. And you're off in the spirit realm, and you are simply just getting in there, and you're looking in there and tuning in and just asking the right questions. And you would ask the same questions as you would ask your biggest mentor, like whoever it is that you look up to in this world, whether it's a social media person or whether it's a guru, or whether, even if it's fucking Jesus, go speak to Jesus. I mean, Jesus is up there. All the gurus are up there. Go speak to them. Like, see yourself, imagine yourself going to these gurus and going, hey, Jesus, dude, what would you do? Like, I'm in this situation, da da da. What do you got for me? And no shit, if you do this, you will be up there with the gods, with the Jesuses, with the bloody Buddhas, with all those cool cats. You know, you'll be up there with them, and they will give you exactly what you need to know. But it's not them. They are just a fragment of who you really are. You're just using them as a as a fucking, what's the word, as just a conduit. It's really you. All those things are you, and they are giving you exactly what you need to do. And then once you get it, and just remember, I'm gonna have to keep reminding you that this is not a 2-second thing. You take 5 minutes out, no interruptions, you go off into your little world of fucking goodness, and then you just ask the questions. You know, I mean, with my spirit guide, when I go into into this the whole tuning thing for 5 or 10 minutes or whatever, my spirit guide is always different. My spirit guide could be a wombat, sometimes it's a fucking tree, sometimes it's a light, sometimes it's a frog, sometimes it's me doing it to me, but I look like an old wizard. You know, it's always different. I just go up, have a look, see what's around, and it's always different, always different. Spirit guide, whatever, you can call it, any guide. You can call it inner fucking cock and balls. I don't care what you call it, but call it something and make time for yourself. Like, to start with, make time every day. 5 minutes. What is it? It's nothing, man. 5 minutes is nothing. Just 5 minutes. Tune in, do your thing, get in there, you know, and then this is where I was going with it. Once you get it, once you write down what you get in the spirit world, what you get in your spirit guide, or what you get tuning into this other realm, once you get it, you have the magic. You've got the tool. You have your fucking answer. And it is absolute criminal if you don't listen, or if you don't take action on what you get. You could go to the most expensive coach. You could even go meet God, and God would be sitting there going, dude, I've given you the fucking answer. Do it. And you're like, no, but what if this person's feelings are hurt? Or, oh my God, what if I lose my job? Or what if oh my God, I don't like conflict. Fuck off, man. Like, come on. You know, I'm the same. I fucking hate conflict. I can't deal with conflict, but I have learned just to listen to my tunings, listen to my intuition. And every single time, even when I think and assume, my ego assumes that I will be met with conflict, or I will be met with resistance, 99% of the time, there is no conflict. It's just like, this is how it is. This is what I'm doing. And it's like, okay, cool. You just have to have this inner knowing. So anyway, that's what I want to share with you today, is about, you know, this idea of tuning in. What is tuning in? This is what it is. Tuning in is basically getting to your absolute fucking truth. That's what tuning in is. So if you're hearing people yapping on about just tune in, just tune in, just tune in, it's not a hocus pocus thing. It's an actual structure where you take 5 minutes out, you close your eyes, you go off into the ether, you tune in, you get what you get, and you fucking take action on that. And that's where I'll leave you. I hope that this has pushed your buttons to create a daily ritual, a spirit ritual, spirit ritual for yourself, that's either daily or 2 day or once every 2 days, whatever it is. But get it done. It is going to be your best mate, and you will stop searching in all the places that don't have the right answer for you, because it's not your truth. Love you guys. Have an epic week. I shall see you soon enough. Love ya.